Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bahashem Bakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, and be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the Yakwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is a response to the video that was put up by the elder apostle Tahar, and the video of the guy who was coming against said he believed in GMS, and he believed that they have the truth, I should say. Not that he believed in GMS, but he believed that GMS has the truth. And his only problem with the Great Millstone is the 12 tribe chart. And to me, you know, that's a double-minded man. You know, the apostle was, you know, being a little bit compassionate toward him. I'm like, you know, I'm like Morpheus in the Matrix, man. Until they wake up, until they acknowledge, you know, they're the enemy, man. So, you know, the hell with that dude, man. But let me find it. Yeah, it's called the 12. The video is called it's called the 12 tribe chart controversy, and you know, the guy was, that's the name of the video. Yeah, the 12 tribe chart controversy, and it starts off with the guy, you know, saying he disagrees that you're not a man at 12 years old. Then that's a man who hasn't been reading and doesn't understand the scriptures. But nevertheless, this is he's got a problem with the Northern Kingdom, with the so-called Hispanics and Latin and Native Americans, which through after waking up to the truth and through research, found out that I am a part of from my father's side. I knew that I had it from my father's mother and my mother's mother, to be honest. But you know, then when I understood that it comes through the man, I was like, oh, okay, well then I'm Judah then. But after you know some intensive research, after my account with one of the elders of the Great Millstone, turned out that after some thorough research, that my family line actually went back to the so-called Seminoles through my father's side. All right, and I'm not going to get into all that because that's not the point of this lesson, but that's what it is. All right, so but right here in the Jewish Encyclopedia, 1867, all right, they're telling you that the name of the land beyond the great river far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of the restoration. A restoration of what? Of Israel. All right. It said Columbus identified America with this land. See Mayor K. Serling's Christopher Columbus translated, and I have Mayor K. Serling's book right here. All right. And I've gone into this book many a times. All right. And this was translated into English, and they have a whole section from page from page 94 all the way to page 99, which is called, and I've got plenty of notes in this book, called Indians and Israelites. That's what that section, and it talks about Luis de Torres. The elder apostle asked for the name of the interpreter, and there he is, Luis de Torres. All right, so Indians and Israelites. It's all so. Nevertheless, what these scholars have said for many years, for hundreds of years, is that they are more than aware that the natives are indeed of the tribes of Israel. And on this book, and in these notes, I have 17 different sources written down of different scholars and authors who have written about it. And not just writing about it because of what they think and feel, but presenting the evidence and the proof, man. So people like that can't get past the carnal. They're fleshly, they think fleshly, and they think about what they see with their eyes. All right. Let me grab a quick scripture, because we tell you over and over again, the Bible makes it very clear that the 12 tribes got scattered to the four corners of the earth among all people. There are too many scriptures to say that. So if they got scattered among all people, that's including people that don't look like you. And when those sperm lines survive within those people that don't look like you, someone who might be Asian or white, that sperm line is still an Israelite sperm line. I can't understand what is so difficult for that with niggas. Because see, people that don't get it, it's not that he didn't fully wake up. Most High maybe don't want him to wake up. All right? That's how I see it. You know? And Salaki if I'm wrong. But people who can't get it, you know, we moving on. Like one of the elders would say. But this is Jeremiah 50 and 33. All right? A scripture early on that I use so much and so often that my face was attached to it. All right? Real talk. Brother Googled that scripture and my face popped up. I was like, what the heck? But here we go. This is Jeremiah 50 and 33. And it says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. So, like I said, I got 5 books before me. So now this one right here, The Black Indians by William Lorenz Cat. See, it does not benefit these Edomites to tell the truth about who the Israelites are. But they wrote books about it. You see, that's the Lord putting the spirit on them for their tongues to fall upon themselves. So I'm just going to go to the portion because there's parts in this book where it tells you how the Seminoles took in the Negro slaves and how they fought together against Esau, Edom. This being my tribe, some of my tribal members right there, and they're brown flesh people. All right, brown flesh. They stand next to Negroes and their skin look the same. You know, I had a so-called Mexican do that over the weekend. You know, he was trying to say, oh, but you're black. And I'm like, and then he put his arm up and he was darker than me. How the hell you going to call me black? I don't want to get out of focus. Get back into focus. There we go. He's on that bullshit. They be messing with my camera, I'm telling you, man. But you had these tribes in this book. That talks about the maroon settlements. You have maroon settlements in the islands, in the Caribbean, which consisted of the so-called Negroes and the dark native Indians of the islands. All right. And you also had those settlements in Florida. All right. So you have maroon settlements. This is on page 37. All right. And it says, from the time of Columbus, that the gravest threat to the European domination in the Western Hemisphere came from the outlaw communities of former slaves. The maroon colonies, as they were called, were considered knife poised at the throat of the slave system, and they were. They indeed were. Those were also, going back in history, in the Caribbeans, made up your pirates. See, they always show you movies and they show you pirates as so-called white men. A majority of those pirates were men of color. All right, they weren't a bunch of white guys, as like they like to show you. All right, let's get that straight. Okay, so what they were fighting. All right, this is on page 38, and it says, entitled America, the antique French engraving shows African and Native American people living in harmony and happiness in their own village. All right. And they were not. And see, that's them, the African. No, they were Israelites, so-called Negroes. All right. Africans didn't sell other Africans. They sold so-called Negroes, Hebos, Israelites from the west coast of Africa. All right. So that's a common lie that the so-called white man, self-proclaimed white man, 1681 in Virginia, give you the time frame when they started doing, they made that into law, started putting it in documents. They tell that lie because have been trying to hide the fact of who the Israelites are. All right. So, but here we go. Here's an image from that book, artist depiction of what he saw. Okay, and then they intermingled and intermarried. All right, the history of the Samarca people of surname in the South America started around 1685 when African Israelites, all right, and natives escaped together and formed maroon society. For 8 generations, Dutch armed forces tried to crush their community, all right, but today is still alive and boasts 20,000 members. So these people are still around. Some of the people that live out in the sticks and in different parts of the islands in Jamaica and in other different islands around there, a lot of those people are part of those maroon societies. So it was happening in the islands and, and all throughout the Americas. All right? Why? Because they were the same people. Check this out. It says, and this is on page 40, and this is, in Black Indians, page 40. All right? And it says, look at the names that they have. It says, men and women who were once starved and beaten by masters grew strong and vigorous in their hidden communities. Maroon settlements took on such daring names as God knows me and none else. Disturb me if you dare. Come try me if you be men. And I shall motor before I shall be taken. All right. But look at that. God knows me and none else. And I got Amos 3:1 next to it. All right. Let's go to that. Let's go to Amos 3:1. Because this is all a part of the Great Awakening, man. And just like they feared it back then, those Dutch slavers, they fear it now. Especially now. This is Amos 3:1. And it reads, hear this word, O Yahweh, that have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. All right. So these people knew that they were the Israelites. All right. Right here, I have by Timothy R. Jenkins. All right. The 10 tribes of Israel, or the true history of the North American Indians, showing that they are descendants of these 10 tribes. They've always known this. All right. They've always known this. And there's proof that they called on the name Yahushai in this book. Matter of fact, this is page 168. All right. And there it says, it's talking about when they would sing around the fires. When they would chant, Yohiwa, Yohiwa, they sang Yohiwa, Yohiwa, Yohiwa Sho, Yohiwa, Yohiwa, Yohiwa Shai, Yohiwa Shu, Yohiwa She, Yohiwa Sho, Yohiwa Shai, knowing that they were saying Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. The Shema Yasharala. All right. I'm going to provide evidence and evidence of that in Lost Tribes Promised Lands when I get to it. Here's another, and that's so much information into these books. I can do thorough lessons on each one of these books individually. All right. I'm just giving you, and these are just a few of many books that were written on the subject matter. All right. This is history of Middle East. All right. A Star in the West, or a humble attempt to discovery of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, preparatory to the return to the beloved city of Jerusalem. And it also goes into the history of the 10 tribes in the Americas. All right. It definitely goes into that. All right. It talks about Montezuma's, the same character that's in this book here. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. All right. The origins of American racism. Why? Because these Americans have been telling the lie that they're the people of the Lord, that the Jewish people are the people of the Lord, that they're Anglo-Saxons. No, the Anglo-Saxons were brown complected people. My series on Oliver Cromwell, the veil removed, Oliver Cromwell, presents all the evidence to prove that. See, it's not just, and that's the one thing about Great Millstone, we just don't say things, we prove it. And most of the information that we use is coming from your own sources of information. All right, your own sources of informations. That's that Psalm 64 and 8. Let's grab that real quick. All right, and this is being done through the Spirit. I didn't plan any of this. I just grabbed these books. I saw that video, said a quick prayer, grab these books and turn on the camera. All right. I think it's 64 and 8. Right. So they will make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them that shall flee away. That was Psalm 64 and 8. So they tell on themselves. All these books that were written by all these Edomite scholars is basically revealing the light on their lives, what they try to cover up. They're giving you real history, but why isn't this taught in school? Why you see anti this and anti that and anti this and all this other mess? All right. Look, man, there are eight Semitic races, man. Everybody that came out of Shem, all right, was a Hebrew. All right. Not just one, but there's only one that's chosen. And the people in the land of Israel are not it. The people in charge of the Defamation League are not it. Or AIPAC. They're not the people of the Lord. Those are converts and imposters, thieves. All right. As a matter of fact, in this country, it's supposed to be a federal offense for identity theft. And they do identity theft every day, all day long. But let me grab this book on the shelf behind me. I want the... which is the Zondervan's Compact Dictionary. All right. This is the Zondervan's Compact Dictionary. Okay. And I'm going to go to the word salvation. And show you, I believe it's salvation. Actually, let me go on my phone. So I took a picture of it, of what I'm looking for. I'm trying to remember the exact word, but you'll understand in a moment when I pull it up. It's under my evidences photo album. So there it is. Oh, okay. Don't even know how I found that, but there it is. That's the word. It wasn't salvation. Wow, I would have never found that had I tried to look for it that way. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that word, but I do remember finding it. And it was completely the Lord that led me to that. Oh yeah, I remember it was predestination that I was looking up. And it led me to this word, election. All right, so this was all a part of the definition of election. Okay. And let me see if I can put it through the camera. But it says, because see, the election is talking about the Lord's people, and not only the Israelites, but the Israel of God, because not all Israel is Israel. You know, that was another part of the controversy. It says, much attention has been given to the relation between God's sovereign choice in election, see, and the foreknowledge of God, since the two concepts and related to Romans, and it gives you all those scriptures. The erroneous interpretation have impelled the election was based upon the foreknowledge by God of, and you know what, and I suggest that you do, that you screenshot this, all right? This is part of the definition of election, all right? It says, the choice, which, and I'm trying to hold myself still while I read it, Salakia. Let me do it like this. Because I want you to be able to read it. Well, you know what? Screenshot it. And then I'm going to pull it back and read it. All right. And it reads, then you can go back and double check it. All right. It says, much attention has been given to the relation between God's sovereign choice in election and the foreknowledge of God, since the two concepts are related in Romans 8:27-30 and 1 Peter 1:1-2. Erroneous interpretations have been implied that the election was based on the foreknowledge by God of the choice which man would make using foreknowledge. Prior knowledge to interpretation not only contradicts the idea of sovereignty, but ignores the basic meaning of word foreknew. See, so there you go. That's that Christianism. All right. That's that Christianism, like these guys who formulated these 11 questions because they're trying to get around this fact. All right. This one definition destroys all their 11 questions, even though their 11 questions were completely answered and their doctrine decimated, by the men of the great millstone. But here we go. It says, when the election refers to salvation, its objects are individual men. You hear that? Its objects are individual men. The concept of universal election is foreign to the scriptures, rather particularly only taught. Man, enough said. Enough said. So there's no scripture that says that heathens would join themselves unto to the awoken Israelites and then preach the message of Yahweh Shem Shai on the highways and byways in Babylon, which is where the Israelites are going to be rescued from. Okay. Now, this book, Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, we've gone into this book many a times, and I bought this book for about $30 about 11 years ago, maybe 11 to 12 years ago. This is one of the first books I bought when I woke up to the truth. All right. So, this is about 11, 12 years ago, and I'm 13 years in now. All right. So now this book right here now goes for brand new about 10 grand hardback. Look it up. Why? Because there's information here that they do not want you to know. The evidence is overwhelming that the so-called tribes of the Americas were Israelites. And I'm just going to read one of my favorite portions of the book. All right. And this is on page 364 and 365. All right. All right. And then, never mind. I was getting ahead of myself. All right. Because I was going to say, you got to remember, too, that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter and the 40th verse, it gives you the total breakdown of how the so-called natives left the Middle East. All right. Came down into the Indian Ocean, down between Africa and Madagascar, around the Horn of Africa and up into the Americas, into South America. And then they spread all over the islands in South America from that point. It gives you that breakdown. And Christopher Columbus knew that. That's why that's in this book right here that we've kept on the screen the entire time. This was in the Jewish Encyclopedia, 1867. But here on page 364, I'm going to read the bottom line. Okay. And this top paragraph. All right. So it says, let's see if I can get it in frame. Come on now. All right. Now I don't want to act. Now it's acting up. Okay. I'll just read it. It says, Francisco told Montezuma's all he knew about these people for his traditions and his ancestors, to their eternal shame, had indeed made war on them and persecuted them. Only the sorcerers of his tribe, all right, had perceived that they were a special people and had given warning that they should be left alone, that the God of these children of Israel was the true power. They had said, and everything inscribed on their tablets, meaning because the oldest, don't forget that the oldest Tanakh known to man, the oldest Torah known to man, was found among the natives, not among the Africans. All right, was found among the natives. So the oldest Bible when the copper cylinder on the west coast, on the east coast, near New York, one of the tribes had a copper cylinder, and when they opened it, it was a Bible, and it's the oldest one on record. All right? How'd they get it? You clowns, boy. And it says, and everything inscribed on their tablets is true. At the end of days, they will be the lords and they will be lords of all nations on earth. All right? Point blank, period. And we're going to be the lords of all nations that are on earth. Why? Because this is going to happen. This is Revelation 13, 9, and 10, and it reads, if any man have an ear, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword, all right, so the Edomites led our people into captivity. They were the leaders of it. Any other nations that would join unto them, but they were the leaders of it, all right? And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. The so-called white man's blessing was a sword. That's how he got dominion over the whole earth. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So the patience, they're suffering, patiently waiting, all right? The saints are the Israelites to put into slavery and bring to the sword those that put them in slavery and brought them to the sword, and we are at that time. Call Halal Yahweh Bashan Abashai, Bashem Rakak Wadash,